All right, so we're diving into some pretty dark territory today, folks.
Hmm.
Cure, this 1997 Japanese film, a psychological thriller. And let me tell you, it gets under your skin. We're going to be looking at what fans are saying online, on Reddit specifically. Lots of discussion there about all the symbolism and themes. Not to mention that plot. Man, that plot.
Yeah, that plot's a real head scratcher.
Yeah.
What gets me is how Cure just kind of blends genres. It's a detective thriller, sure, but it's also psychological horror. It really messes with you.
Yeah.
You're never quite sure what's real.
It's true. It's like you're trying to put together this puzzle,
Yeah,
but all the pieces, they keep shifting.
exactly.
So basically, we follow Detective Takabe. He's investigating these brutal murders,
Yeah.
all in Tokyo, and each killer, totally ordinary,
Yeah.
no connection to the victims or each other, but there's this one thing.
Yeah, that creepy X carved into their necks.
Exactly.
And that's where Mamiya comes in. He's like this drifter, doesn't remember anything about his past, amnesia. And of course, he becomes the prime suspect. But the thing is, reading through those Reddit threads, everyone's debating, is Mamiya like a puppet, controlled by something evil? Or is he choosing to manipulate people into killing? There's this line, and gives me chills every time, where he says to a doctor, I used to exist inside myself, but now I'm only on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I can see what's inside of you. Gives you the feeling that he's totally lost touch with who he is.
Like a shell,
Yeah.
an empty vessel. But then there are those moments where he seems so sharp, calculating even.
It's like the film is playing tricks on you. It's never clear if things are real or supernatural.
And speaking of supernatural, didn't they bring in that whole hypnotism and mesmerism stuff?
They did. They even mentioned Franz Mesmer, that
Yeah.
physician from the 1700s. He had all those theories about animal magnetism.
Honestly, I gotta admit, when I first watched it, I didn't quite get that whole animal magnetism thing. Could you maybe break that down, both for me and, well, for anyone listening who's a little fuzzy on it?
Oh, sure. So Mesmer thought there was this invisible force, like something natural flowing through everything that lives. And you could control it, this force, to influence people, even put them in a trance. He used all these techniques, magnets, hand gestures and stuff, supposedly to channel it.
Right, right.
And even though in the end, science kind of debunked his methods, that idea that one person could control another's mind, that stuck around. You see it pop up in all sorts of stuff, and definitely in Pure.
Makes sense. So is the film suggesting Mami is tapping into this animal magnetism or something similar
Hmm.
to influence his victims, I mean?
Some people on Reddit think so. They even think that Mamiya might be connected to this Japanese professor from way back in the 1800s. He was really into mesmerism, but mixed it with, well, the occult, maybe trying to, exploit the dark side of human nature.
Wow.
And there's that old phonograph Mamiya is always carrying around. Someone suggested it might actually be playing this professor's teachings, like it's the source of his powers.
So it's historical and kind of spooky all at the same time. Really adds to the whole creepy vibe. Makes me think about Detective Sakuma, Takabe's partner. He had that whole propagation of the ceremony theory, right? Like these killings were part of a ritual, not just random violence.
Yeah, Sakuma really throws a wrench in things, opens up a whole other layer of how to understand the film.
So what do you think about that theory?
I've seen a lot of people on Reddit suggesting it means more than just the murders themselves. It could be a way to transfer power. Each murder makes whoever's behind it, their hypnotic abilities, they get stronger. And they even compare it to this other film, The Empty Man. It's about how dangerous ideas spread, how they need empty vessels to really take hold and become powerful.
So maybe they're saying Mamiya himself is the empty vessel,
Mm.
and the real mastermind, they're using him to spread this hypnotic influence. And what about Takabe? With all his baggage, all his internal struggles, could he be the intended recipient? It's a creepy thought.
Creepy indeed. And it could go even further than Mamiya himself. Takabe's wife, Fumi. She's really sick mentally. And on Reddit, I saw this theory, it's pretty interesting, that maybe she was one of Mamiya's victims.
Oh, wow. That would explain some things. Like when the table shakes near her, she goes into this trance.
Right.
One user even connected it to that sound-based hypnosis Mamiya uses. Like certain sounds trigger something in her, make her super vulnerable to suggestion. But why would Mamiya even target Takabe's wife in the first place?
Well, some people think it's all about Takabe. It's a way to mess with him, to get him tangled up with Mamiya. You gotta imagine, the guy's under so much pressure trying to solve these weird murders, taking care of his wife. It's a recipe for, well, for weakness.
Yeah, for sure. And that vulnerability, it just keeps coming up in the film, doesn't it? It's like anyone could be under Mamiya's influence,
Yeah,
especially if they're, dealing with their own issues.
totally. And then you have that climax in the abandoned asylum. Super creepy location, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one user said that it represents Takabe's mind, like a dreamscape where he has to face all his dark impulses. It's really powerful imagery.
Yeah, very visual. So that's where Takabe supposedly kills Mamiya. But does he really? The film's not exactly clear on that.
Nope. And that's what makes it so great. It leaves you guessing, did he actually stop this evil force? Or is he the new vessel, like Sakuma's theory about the ceremony?
Oh, yeah. Right before it all goes down, Takabe asks Mamiya, "Do you remember everything now?" What do you think he meant by that?
Man, people on Reddit have been arguing about that forever. Some think he means Mamiya's lost memories, that Takabe finally figured out his past, but others think it's more metaphorical, like Mamiya, right before he dies, understands what he's done, the evil he's unleashed.
So it's like he realizes what it all meant, but too late, huh?
Mm.
But is Takabe any different? I mean, in that last scene, he's at the diner, eating a full meal, looking all calm and collected. It's a total 180 from how stressed he was, how he could barely eat before.
It's a really interesting contrast.
Yeah. Could it be that this new calmness, this peace, is it a sign that he's given in to the same darkness?
That's the beauty of Cure. It doesn't give you the answers. There's this user who even compared the ending to No Country for Old Men.
Interesting.
Because in both films, even though the main character tries to stop evil, it keeps going. It makes you think maybe there are some forces we just can't control.
And don't forget about that final shot. The waitress picking up a knife after talking to Takabe. Is that just random? Or is it a hint that he's spreading Mamiya's influence without even knowing it? Like some kind of, I don't know, disease.
Yeah, it's definitely unsettling. Makes you wonder, can evil really be stopped, or does it just find new ways to come back?
Yeah. And then there's that scene with the nurse wheeling out what looks like Fumi's body.
Right, right.
But they never actually say if she's dead, or they just talk about losing it.
Exactly. It leaves you with this question, is Takabe really under Mamiya's control? Or is he just going crazy, can't tell what's real anymore?
It's like the film's making us feel that same uncertainty that Takabe's going through. So, I mean, we've gone through all these theories. What can we really say about evil in Cure? Is it, like, supernatural? Is it psychological? Or is it both?
Well, that's what the film wants you to think about. It's not trying to give you answers, you know? It's more about making you face that darkness that's inside all of us, that potential to be manipulated, to lose your grip on what's real, to go crazy. Cure isn't really a feel-good movie. It's a challenge. It's like it's saying, hey, maybe we're all more susceptible to suggestion than we realize.
You know, the film itself almost feels like a hypnosis session. The way it uses those long shots, the sound design, the creepy atmosphere, it pulls you in.
Yeah, right.
One person on Reddit said it's like the film hypnotizes you, makes you forget the ending, even if you've seen it a bunch of times.
I can see that. It gets into your head and stays there. You start questioning everything, not just what happens in the film, but, yourself.
It makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
how well do I really know myself? Could someone manipulate me without me even knowing it?
It is a disturbing thought, isn't it? Cure forces us to look at those weak spots, those places where we might be vulnerable.
So Cure is more than just a horror film. It's a warning about the power of suggestion, about how fragile our minds really are, about how sneaky evil can be. It makes you question everything. What you see and hear, who you trust, even your own story about yourself.
Right. It sticks with you. It makes you wonder, and maybe that's the whole point, you know?
Well, I think if you're looking for a film that'll stay with you, that'll challenge you, Cure is definitely worth checking out. Just be ready to face some dark stuff.
Yeah, for sure.